Here it is, our review of the 2024 parody film, Not Another Church Movie.
Not Another Church Movie purports to be, quote, the next great parody comedy that fires hilarious shots at MADEA Goes to Jail, The Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Meet the Browns, Why Did I Get Married, and more.
But what if a parody comedy isn't funny at all?
I guess we gotta go in and break down all the ways that this film was a dismal failure.
I'm Heit.
And I'm Cheri.
And you've discovered Axiom Amnesia.
We want to thank all of the supporters who helped to make this video possible. If you want your name to appear alongside these contributors, make a one-time donation via Cash App or click the thanks button on this video, or you can head on over to patreon.com/axiomamnesia or become a channel member by clicking the join button to enjoy all of the benefits of becoming a monthly subscriber. So where do we even start? We sat here so that you don't have to and watch this movie. I already knew it was going to be some just ridiculousness anyway, or at least I had a clue. But come on.
So I think I heard about it, and then before we watched it, I heard how it just didn't have great reviews.
Well, one thing about our audience is that we will go out and try to support anything that is, a black film that seems to be, like this. But okay, let's just get to it so that we understand what the expectations were out the gate. So we're calling this basically a Tyler Perry diss track movie because it's like the person who made this movie just hated Tyler Perry so much that they just felt like, not only am I going to spoof a particular style of movie making that's popular amongst black folks, but I'm firing shots at him. And even according to their website, this is what they say. So they have a website where they were marketing this film, and right at the top of the film, you see Not Another, and then they've got crossed out Tyler Perry, and they just put this word church in movie. And this is not a Tyler Perry movie, is what it says there.
Yeah. So while watching it and then, throughout, I'm just like, yeah, this is not a Tyler Perry movie. It would have been better if it was a Tyler Perry movie.
Yes.
So they're really telling you this is about Tyler Perry. And it says only in theaters, right? And it was actually in theaters.
Yeah.
Which
select
is
theaters
weird.
On May 10th of this year. And so we see who they've got headlining it: Jamie Foxx, Kevin Daniels, and Mickey Rourke. So in this film, Jamie Foxx is playing Jesus. Mickey Rourke is playing the devil. If y'all don't remember who Mickey Rourke is the actor who played in the movie that threatened to ruin Lisa Bonet's career after The Cosby Show. It's called Angel Heart. And, it was threatening to ruin her career because she appeared nude in it multiple times. So anyway, that's who Mickey Rourke is. He played in a whole bunch of other films. Go to the comments and share some of those other films that he played in. But he's, a really famous actor, who was, I think, most popular probably in the 80s. And of course, we all know who Jamie Foxx is. Come on, Oscar winner. We don't even have to say, much more about Jamie Foxx, but he's in this too. And then we have Kevin Daniels, who is playing the role of Tyler Harry. No.
Taylor Harry. So his name is Taylor Harry, and the P is silence.
Right.
P-H-E-R-R-Y.
So, yeah. So those are the three we have in there. And of course, I'm sure as you guys can guess, you really don't see a whole lot of Jamie Foxx or Mickey Rourke in here, but these are the big names that they would use to try to attract people to the film. So let's talk about the synopsis of this film. It says that Oprah Windfall, fretting as her ratings plummet because her talk show and audience need some new blood, calls on God and demands his help. God and his angels decide there's no better choice to replace her with than the hardest working man in the world, Taylor Harry. But when the devil overhears this, he comes up with a fiendish plan of his own to disrupt the whole ordeal. Basically, this is how, supposedly this character becomes kind of who we know as Tyler Perry in real life, right?
And then so one of the jokes they made, or one of this arching theme that was that basically that Tyler Perry can't write. He was basically out to write his first film, and his movies don't have storylines or nothing like that. But even if you put this synopsis like this, when I watched the film, there was no storyline, no plot, no nothing. It just seems like a bunch of random things, and they tried to put it together using this whole idea of, you know, Oprah Winfrey needs somebody to replace her, and God has ordained this Taylor Harry guy.
But let's also talk about how they speak about themselves, or how it was marketed also. They say that not another church movie, the next great parody comedy, is a wild ride through the fabulous world of the ambitious Taylor Harry and his holy mission from God to tell his family stories and inspire the community. And the film goes on, and they say the film fires hilarious shots at Madea Goes to Jail, The Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Meet the Browns, Why Did I Get Married, and more. Yeah. So like they actually come out and say, this is what we're firing shots at. This is going to be the next great parody comedy. Fail. Yeah.
So the thing is, they watch, whoever edited this, and you watch it before you put it out. Why did they put this out, and who accepted it in over 1,100 theaters too? Like, this is a disgrace. And I don't really talk about movies like this because most movies we talk about aren't this bad.
Yeah. And, you know, as many of you know, we did this whole series on this channel about Why Did I Get Married? I mean, we covered both films, and it's like 8 or 9 videos that are out on this channel where we break down all of these characters, right? And, you know, we were very critical of Tyler Perry.
Yeah.
Because that's, and not of him personally, but his work, right? And then we also interjected things like, you know, about the writing and where he fell short in certain spots, right? But at the end of the day, we come to the table with a basic understanding that clearly Tyler Perry has talent. Clearly he's been able to take, you know, his stage plays and, you know, build an entire movie studio, something that nobody else has done.
Right.
None of us, you know, and like the fact that we're coming in as if he's just some, you know, ridiculous individual to be targeted. And it just feels like a personal targeting of him, which I really just didn't like.
Yeah. So the thing about being a great parody is itself has to be funny. Right. And this thing, it wasn't funny.
Right.
I think you laughed at That's Just Your Daddy.
Oh, yeah.
Line. But other than that, nothing. Maybe there were some lines that's like, oh, that's interesting that you said this line.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm not going to say there was zero laugh, but for something to be a supposed parody, this was just trash.
So which big names, who was responsible for this?
Well, let's talk about not only who made the film, but like who's involved.
Yeah.
So a Monty Dog production directed by Johnny Mack from Wild 'N Out. And City on a Hill actor James Michael Cummings. And so Mack also wrote it as well. And it was produced by Cummings. And so then we have other people in here, like starring Kevin Daniels from The Big Leap, Vivica A. Fox. We know Vivica.
Vivica, bruh. Okay.
You know, Kyla Pratt. We know Kyla. Come on.
I like Kyla.
Yeah, me too. And Lamone Morris, Tisha Campbell, Jasmine Guy.
Tisha Campbell. So
Mickey Rourke, of course,
we're gonna have to get more into
Jamie Foxx.
More into Tisha Campbell later.
Yes, we will definitely get more into her character in this film. And so, you know, so you got some big names in here. So it kind of, it's got the formula, right? You know, because anybody who thinks, at least me, a good Black parody film, you know, I immediately just think of like the Wayans brothers, right?
Yeah.
Because
especially when you do Not Another.
Yeah, and I shouldn't say the Wayans brothers, but the whole Wayans family, right? I think of the films that they put out and, you know, highly successful, and most importantly, they were funny, okay? They were pushing the envelope in many areas, but they were actually funny. And, you know, think about the movies like, this movie name always gets me, but what is it? Don't
be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Yes.
And Scary Movie.
Yeah. That whole franchise. So,
well, not the whole thing, the parts.
Well, the parts at the beginning that they were involved in. We aren't going to go into it in this video, but like, yeah, it was a whole mess where they basically lost the franchise.
So that's what allowed them, all of these names that we know who are pretty popular with us, to probably get into the theaters.
And let me just be clear. If I'm reading this script as an actor, I'm like, okay, and maybe in your mind, you're like, going to be kind of like the Wayans brothers situation. Because, I guess that's how I would feel if I were an actor. I want to be clear, like, unless I specifically say it in here, I'm not disparaging any of the actors who are in this. I really like most of these actors, and I have no problem with the actors. It's it's just how it would play it out. And I'm like, did they know? Did they know it was going to turn out like this?
Man, they read the script. But was the movie even successful with all these people?
Let's talk about that. The first thing is that up to this point, we said it came out on the 10th of May. And up to this point, toward the end of May, it has made $500 and something thousand. Like, that's...
Yeah, I don't even know. That's it. Well, it's not all your fault, because, well, in the marketing part, right, is probably some of your fault, but it ain't all because it's terrible, right? It's probably that people didn't know about it, and probably because you didn't market it, right? Because you could probably pull out some clips that people could laugh at out of context and show some of these famous people. But if you gonna bill it as this parody about Tyler Perry, then you would have to show basically MADEA character, who they call My Dude, MADEA character actually being funny in the trailers and stuff, and they just can't do it.
They missed. And see, this is where, you gotta say, no matter how you feel about Tyler Perry in a dress, other folks could never really. There have been plenty of men in dresses but I just think that Tyler Perry does have talent. Like, you coming into the table acting like he's just completely talentless and all you got to do is. And then here, this was supposed to be funny and it sucked.
And the ratings across the board are bad on IMDb, Rotten Tomatoes, all that. It's just...
1 star. Like, how often do you really see something that's like 1 star, out of 5, 2 stars? Like, people who commented that they want to give it a 0 and everything. Because no matter what, though, and this is really how I think us as a community, how we look at stuff, is still, Tyler Perry is still ours. You know what I mean? Like, we still are impressed and proud of the fact that, like, he built the studios and all of these things. We can be critical of certain aspects, but it don't mean that we hate Tyler Perry.
But if you're going to make fun of him, you have to be good at it.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to make fun of his films, you can't just be trash.
So $576,000 worldwide is about what it has made at this point. But then we also have to talk about how you can watch it before we go on. Apparently, it is now available for streaming. And on Amazon, you could pay $20, basically $19.99 if you want to rent it, and they'll let you watch it for 30 days.
I'm sorry, I don't usually do this, but please save your money.
Well, let me say, you can't watch it for 30 days. Let me rewind that.
What?
You can start watching it, and you got 48 hours to finish once you started.
That's how their rents work, bro.
So I could, pay the money to rent it now or whatever, but then I got 30 days to start it, and then I got 48 hours to finish it after I started. Like, that's wild.
No, thank you.
But yeah, so you could go in there first, $20 for a rental, but if you want to buy it and own it, it's $25.
Is that just prime standard pricing?
You know what? I don't even know.
You done set yours for $20.
We trying to break even
Probably
prices.
Recoup. Yeah. How much did you have to pay Jamie Foxx to be in this?
I know.
Monstrosity?
Yeah. So then there's that. So now we can actually get into what happens in this film. So I said that Jamie Foxx was Jesus earlier. I meant to say Jamie Foxx is playing God in this movie because he does actually talk about Jesus. We're watching this and he's up in heaven and he's supposed to be funny and whatever.
Hey, you ain't laughing. Don't get cast down. You know what I did to Beelzebub.
I can't help but think that whatever money Jamie got paid was like, okay, this is about to be a one-day shoot.
I know, and I'm about to make his money. Whole thing.
I'm just ad-libbing the whole thing. And, and Jamie is funny and can do it, but like this just was not good. So he's in heaven, coming up with this idea.
I don't think the part with him was funny.
No.
Either.
And he even mentions like the Will Smith Oscar slap, at one point,
He did, boy, that was a hell of a slap though. He slapped 3 jokes out of that motherfucker, didn't he?
And of course we all know that Jamie is not only a great dramatic actor. He also is a hilarious comedian. I mean, we remember him from In Living Color back in the day. So it's not even a question about his talent. This is really no slight to Jamie Foxx, except for the fact that he agreed to be in this. But yeah, this wasn't it. So then we also see, they're talking about Oprah Winfrey, and her name is Oprah Windfall. And they're kind of, making fun of her and Oprah, because we all know Oprah, when she still had her show, had gotten really spiritual. She always has been this kind of advocate for women and whatever. So they basically say that, God is searching for someone to carry Oprah's torch, or Oprah in the movie, and carry the torch of empowering women. And again, it's said like tongue in cheek. And like you mentioned, there's the main character, Madude, right, who is in this film as well.
Hey, here, let me show you something. Oh, no, don't do that. Don't nobody want to see them Jurassic.
And along the way, we get to see Vivica Fox as a judge. And
Madude, be quiet and be respectful in my courtroom.
But when it comes to like the story and the plot, there's like nothing to really talk about there. That's basically it. That's the premise. And then we see how in Don't Be a Menace, you see these clips from these different movies, and it's kind of put together well in its own little storyline. And here we didn't get that. We just got these random clips from movies that they tried to recreate.
Right. And I feel like they thought that because these movies are, the scene is going to be very recognizable. We know which ones are from A Diary of a Mad Black Woman or anything else, right? We can recognize it. So then that's good enough. But like you said, the storyline didn't make sense. If you look at some of the ones that the Wayans did, each of the films had a whole overarching storyline, and then they sandwiched in these references and the parody parts, within that storyline. Not like I just looked at a bunch of scenes and said, I want to take this scene from the Tyler Perry movie, and then we just gonna put that together and then mix it up and figure out which order it should be in.
So another problem is that the actors who they used weren't good. They weren't funny. Except some of the more seasoned ones, like, the comedic ones, right?
Yeah.
So like Pierre.
Okay. Show me the nipple. Ah, damn!
He's Pierre. It's like, all right, he don't look like he's just been an overblown coon.
Right.
Right? Like some of the other actors look. Buddy Lewis. He was all right. You know what I'm saying? So I laughed, I think, when he showed up. And I liked Kyla Pratt as an actress, right? But every other character, I was just like,
no, absolutely not.
Nothing at all. Vivica Fox was a judge.
Yeah.
Who I don't even know the point.
So the thing that would make a parody good is the fact that you really recognize, right, the style, the everything. But this was like so over the top that it was so crazy that I'm like, but this isn't what Tyler Perry does. When you make fun of a thing, you're like, okay, it's got to resonate with me that this is what this filmmaker or whatever I'm making fun of, this is what they do. And then I'm going to take it a little further than that and just be extreme, right? But
and if you're telling me you never laughed at Madea, I'm just going to think you're lying.
Right. You could have issues, with perhaps a problematic image of a, black man in a dress and all of these other things. But like, you can't deny that the stuff Madea is doing is funny. The physical comedy that Tyler Perry as an actor is able to, exhibit on screen is it's top tier.
They're trying to parody a Tyler Perry film, but the main character is not Madea. Like, it just has to be Madea as the main character who's, moving the story on throughout. But when it is, I guess there's a big part that's Madude. And Madude isn't funny, doesn't say anything funny, none of that.
You're just not as good. So here we are supposed to be in this Tyler Perry diss track movie, and it's falling flat. Like you got to be funnier than Tyler Perry to do this.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
And you're not.
You're not. And once again, it's the story. But, one of the parts that they tried to do was like when he was making Diary of a Mad Black Woman, because this wasn't just a parody of his films, right? It was a parody, trying to parody Tyler Perry's life.
Right.
But if you know anything about Tyler Perry, the plays came first. But they were like, okay, now he's making his first movie. And then they made it try to seem like he had a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
Like,
come on.
What?
And that's like the biggest insult on Tyler Perry because we all know he ain't giving up that pen to nobody else. Like that is kind of the joke. And I don't know, just whatever he was, it just was unfunny.
Yeah, and I'm like, wait,
unfunny.
that's what y'all trying to say? This is, I don't even know what else to say about this except Tisha Campbell was playing.
Yeah, she played the role.
She played Tamala Mann is who she played.
Yes, and her name was Flora Tisha
Instead
Campbell.
of
And of course
Cora.
we know Cora from, the MADEA films, right?
I see.
Yes, I'm his daughter, Flora Black.
And this is the problem that I had with that. You knew exactly who it was supposed to be, but then they had this stuffing on Tisha Campbell's body that is supposed to, it made fun of Tamala Mann's actual body. I got a problem with that because now you digging at the actress. It's different if we're talking about a character, but this is a dig at like an actual individual, and Tamala Mann ain't did nothing to nobody.
Right, and it remind me of stuff started like In Living Color, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it wasn't really parodies of movies. They were having sketches about actual people. Like when Keenan Ivory Wayans was Arsenio Hall, right? And you put the butt in and stuff. Like that's what they did here. When that's not, her size really doesn't have anything to do with the character of Cora.
Right.
So you just done that as a slight to Tamala Mann, who I don't find problematic at all.
Yeah, I mean, she's singing her gospel music, an amazingly talented woman. And why? It just was no reason for this part. There's a fine line between like good comedy and being mean, and this was to me over the line.
Yeah, and it was when you take this role and you do costume and everything and wardrobe, you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Because I was like, okay, did Tisha Campbell no? I mean, this just felt wrong. It just felt wrong to me, Tisha. Why you do that, girl? It just felt wrong.
But yeah, I remember maybe it was weeks ago or maybe months, I don't know. But there was this picture going around of Tisha Campbell, and it was like, oh, she looked like Tamala Mann because she was trying to dress up as her.
She was playing her in that role. And there is one part that had everything else not happened, I might have had a good cackle. But there's this part where, she's talking about something and then she actually starts singing, and we know Tisha Campbell can sing. So she starts singing Take Me to the King. That would have been like really funny, except I was already mad that y'all over here making fun of Tamala like this. So, that did impact it. If I had seen that independently, maybe,
if you would have took the whole line and went back to plays, then that part would have made sense. But it don't make sense in the context of Tyler Perry movies.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just have problems tying in all these things. And part of it, to try to keep the storyline going, they're having these flashbacks back to heaven with Jamie Foxx as God talking to like a council of angels and stuff, and it's just, that wasn't funny. It didn't push the story
At
along.
one point he's like, oh, I could use the N-word, but he says to a white angel, but you can't, I mean, there's just points where, they talk about the Chris Rock slap, and
He did, boy, that was a hell of a slap, though. He slapped 3 jokes out of that motherfucker, didn't he?
it just, okay, timing matters, right? Because everybody is over the slap, right? And I don't know exactly when the film was, shot versus now, so that does matter in terms of what we're going to find as funny.
Tyler Perry was timely with his stuff.
Yeah.
With his stuff though, like when something happens, he's putting this film out, and then that reference is in there pretty close to when the major event happens.
Because as much as we make fun of like films and we haven't covered this film yet, but like think about Acrimony. As much as we've made fun of Acrimony and how he, talk about how he filmed it, I think he said in a week or something ridiculously short. And we were like, yeah, it looked like that. It looked like you filmed it fast. Still, it had some basic minimum type of standards that were met on this film. And this, I don't even, let me say something positive. What I can say positive is that the film was not, in terms of the quality of the technical aspects, like the sound and the, what you see on the screen and the images, it was up to par, because how sometimes when you see some stuff, it's like not only is the movie and the plot and everything bad, then the sound is bad a little bit, and so are the visuals on screen. That wasn't the case here. But you had pointed out to this part where I did laugh, where, you know, they have a character who comes in. You know, it's taking from this from the Tyler Perry movie Meet the Browns, right? And, you know, this is where Angela Bassett's character, you know, winds up going to the South or whatever with her family down there, and, you know, falling in love and all the things that happen in the Tyler Perry film. So it was sort of a takeoff from that. But at one point before she leaves, she goes to one of her baby daddy's job, and she's trying to get some money because, you know, she got to pay rent. She's about to get kicked out. You know, you got to pay the babysitter. And the guy is real indignant in the actual Tyler Perry film. So in this movie, they took it to an extra extreme. And, you know, he was so indignant and stuff like that. And he wasn't interacting. Well, these kids' father wasn't interacting with them. So later on, when they see this man who is the father of the kid, sees him, he don't even know that's his daddy. And his friend or whoever is with him, because they, you know, doing some street life stuff. And he's like, oh, that's just your daddy.
Who's that?
Man, that's just your daddy, Michael.
My dad? I never met him.
Right. And I think that was kind of funny, because just the whole idea of it, I'll give you that. But as far as the whole thing, like, y'all could have put that on YouTube and I could have laughed.
Bruh,
like this.
Could have put a bunch of skits out.
Yes, something. But this wasn't what was up at all. And again, you know, it just kind of goes back to, we are in an all you gotta do type of culture right now. All you gotta do is this. You know, you don't really have to have talent. Let's use ChatGPT. It'll write me a script. You know, like all of these things, it really diminishes or shows that you don't have any respect for the talent it takes to actually deliver something that is of high quality, something that actually, you know, is good to even be critiqued in the first place.
Okay, so have we reached that point where we are allowed to put out trash now?
Apparently.
Because like this is absolute trash, that like one of the worst movies I've ever seen I've seen go through theaters, right?
So it's so bad that I had at one point when it was ending, I turned to you and I said, did Tyler Perry fund this?
Bruh.
Did Tyler Perry pay for this? Because did he pay for it so that, okay, I'm going to put it out there and show that if somebody tries to make fun of me, that it's going to fail? Like, I don't know. That's a terrible idea for me to even suggest. But what I'm saying is it's just that bad. It's that bad. And then it's like, you think you did something? Because right now, you know, if you're watching this much later, right now, you know, we just had like the Drake and Kendrick Lamar, you know, rap battle kind of, you know, issue going back and forth. And I'm like, okay, so you trying to be like shots fired? Like, I don't even know what you was trying to do. Yeah. I don't.
But see, my point is that a bunch of people watched this after it was made, right?
Yeah,
right
the
after
editors,
it's edited, and then they still put it out there. Like, I understand it's like, oh, it's a business, we got to recoup some of my money, but I'll be like, man, please don't put this out and don't put my name on it. Like,
because here's the thing, right? The actors that I saw, and because Jasmine Guy, I don't think we mentioned her. Jasmine Guy was in there also. So the actors that we saw in here, though, like, it's not that they were bad. You know what I mean? It's not that they were necessary. I don't think it's that.
Okay,
like,
what
Kyla
about
Pratt,
the guy with the braids and stuff? He was trying to be a comedian. I don't know if he's a comedian or not, but it wasn't funny, and the jokes that they were having wasn't funny. So part of it is the actors overacting, trying to be funny.
Maybe, okay.
Don't call me this.
Boy, you ain't smelled vagina since 1932. How you doing, Deanna?
You're right.
Yeah,
I guess what I'll say is maybe it's that, okay, actors that we've seen in other things, they're not bad actors. I'm not saying that you are a terrible actor.
Right.
I'm just saying this wasn't
the role you did.
This was a mistake.
Like Vivica A. Fox, I don't see her as a comedic actress, so why put her in a comedy role? And
well,
then the role,
not this kind of comedy.
Yeah, because the role isn't that, hey, you deliver these funny lines that were written. It's that you have to show out as a comedian in this role.
Yeah.
And that's not who she is. Tisha Campbell, somewhat, that's kind of how she,
yeah, well, I mean, she was like
had
that
her
on
chops
Martin.
in the 90s, you know.
You know.
Yeah, so she can kind of do that, but yeah, I don't.
Yeah, it just no. You know, so you're right. I think it's maybe the style that was required here. Maybe it wasn't a good casting fit. But then who knows? You know, maybe you took all the big names you could. You know, you say, well, they might not be great in this type of role, but it's still a name that people will recognize. Because imagine if there were no big names in here, we wouldn't even know this existed.
It wouldn't be in theaters. That's true, but I don't know. Maybe you wouldn't have had to pay as much. So like, we had Pierre in there, right?
Yeah.
What if you, like I was saying, what if you had Dougie Doug in there and you had Godfrey and, some DC Young Fly, folks who we've seen act out things and as comedic actors.
Man, to get DC Young Fly and some of these other actors right now,
But there are some from the past who we aren't seeing in movies who they could have plucked out, who don't have the names like Vivica A. Fox and Tyler Pratt at the time.
Yeah.
Right there.
But people we would recognize. People who we would recognize. But I can't. You know what? Go to the comments and tell us who you think, if you saw this, who you think might have been good. And if you didn't see this, go and tell us, like, who did you like? And let's think about some of the Wayans movies and stuff like that. Who were some of the actors that you liked in these types of films? But I was just like, we got to talk about this because, we know that on this channel, folks love some Tyler Perry. And even if you don't love the Tyler Perry films, you got problems with Tyler Perry, so to speak, you still want to engage with Tyler Perry, because that still is a huge part of our culture. And I don't know, because the other part I started being like, okay, well, who really made it? Who funded this? Whose money went into this? Because I know it cost y'all more than, the $576,000 you made so far. I know it cost more than that to make this film, and I was just thinking about how much you had to pay the actors. Shoot, Jamie Foxx, you probably had to pay him more than all the rest of the actors combined just to come in for the one day or two that he might have been on set doing this, But y'all, this, if y'all want to pay $20 on Amazon or whatever it costs on Apple TV to see it, let us know. Did y'all go to the theater and see this? Because, wow.
Eventually, it'll be somewhere else. So, if you don't want to pay, you could just wait and see it on probably Tubi.
Yeah.
Tubi.
Yeah.
Nah, probably some streaming platform.
They're going to probably put it up on Netflix, event. Because Netflix? At this, I feel like Netflix will pay for anything.
I feel like Netflix want black people, so if they put this on here, they know black people ain't going to sign up to and stand on because of this film. That's the type of stuff Netflix is. Other people are more liberal about who they put on their platforms.
Well, then maybe it'll just be on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, it'll probably be on Prime.
And if you know about it, you know about it. By the way, how did you find out about it?
I don't know. It was some ad or something. I seen a trailer, and then I was like, oh, there's a Tyler Perry parody movie.
I think maybe, because I think you told me that. And then I think maybe right after that, maybe I saw a YouTube ad, maybe. But for some reason, I feel like maybe I saw a YouTube ad, but I don't know. It's all fuzzy, just like this movie.
But if you didn't know about it, you can thank us for hipping you to this movie that you can go watch. And I don't know if I even know Tyler Perry movies well enough maybe they just didn't do a good enough job for me to identify all the scenes. You say it's pretty simple. But for me, I was like, okay, what movie is this? Like Daddy's Little Girls or whatever.
Yeah.
I got that. And then Meet the Browns. Some of those I got. But some of them I'm just like, I don't know what movie this is. And yeah. And was it TV shows mixed in too?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mostly recognize the movies.
There was a speed dating scene. I don't know what that was from.
Yeah, I didn't identify that one. But, it seemed, reasonably recognizable if you know his movies. Now, admittingly, I haven't watched all of Tyler Perry's shows. I'm vaguely familiar with those. But yeah, this was But let me just say also, you know what? We talk about wanting to have representation, wanting to have films for us. And just like in what I would call mainstream culture, y'all know who I'm talking about. Just like with them, there are plenty of films that flop. We are not immune to having films that flop.
Well, it's not just about it flopping. It's that it's bad.
Or that are bad. Right. Okay. Let's be clear, because I know y'all folks was sensitive about what we said about The Color Purple flopping. It did flop, but it wasn't necessarily bad like that. But in this case, you know what? There's room. If we really are going to have a bunch of black films, there's room for some dismal failures.
There's a room,
in there.
but what I feel is that the money should go into stuff that's good and worthy. And maybe you don't always know that ahead of time. Maybe they thought it was going to be funny or something or good. But I just think that, we can't afford to be putting our money into trash. And yes, we need to get to a point where we can have trash, but dang, look how much good stuff don't even get to go to theaters, and we still getting this trash in theaters and stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, and maybe this is I guess it can't be a lesson because people like to say, oh, so now they ain't gonna give us no money because we don't go see black movies. But yeah, if it's not us who's funding this, then yeah, they know it was trash.
And, another thing that busts that argument out the water too is just the simple fact that since COVID, people aren't going to the theater as much. That really changed a lot of people's lifestyles. People realize that, I can watch all this at home. And more importantly, the film industry, so that they can make some of that, money during the pandemic, what they did is they went and was like, okay, well, you know what? We could stream these movies straight to streaming. And folks got used to that. And now they don't want to take that back. And they may not be going to the theater like they were prior to all that happening a few years ago. So that's something else to consider too. But yeah, if y'all get a chance to watch it, hopefully for free, then, let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, but I would rather watch every Tyler Perry movie is better than this movie.
And I would even go so far as to say probably every Tyler Perry TV show, every episode of every TV show is probably better than this movie. It sucks. And again, I just don't know what these folks were thinking. I don't, the folks who made it, I don't know. Maybe it's a generational thing. What about that?
What do you mean?
You feel like I'm the new generation of comedy. I don't know how old this guy is, but presumably younger than Tyler Perry. Well, I'm going to come and do this, and this is how we doing it from now on. Kind of like, you mentioned DC Young Fly earlier, but like this new crop of comedians who got famous with skits on social media and how, traditional comedians and stuff, how they're kind of at odds with them to some extent.
To that, I'd rather watch Tyler Perry, bro. That is just that simple. If you made it this far into our review of Not Another Church Movie, type "not like us" in the comments so we'll know you're one of the real ones who stick around to the end.
And be sure to watch one of the videos that's on the screen right now and check out the videos that we've put out recently because we know some of y'all are not getting the notifications via YouTube. So check all 3 of our channels. Links are in the description.